Hi, my name is Jessie. I worked in the charter schools in Providence a couple of years ago, and I saw firsthand some of the corruption inherent in the system. A number of you have mentioned that you want to focus on education and on transparency in government. So I was wondering what sorts of checks and balances you can provide on our charter schools so that there's transparency for them, and also so that the ununionized teachers who work there have a place where they can air their concerns.
All right, and we'll start with Dan on the answers.
Well, responsibility and accountability is very important with regard to the growth in any industry and with regard to teaching as well. I do believe that it's... I wonder why schools like King and Bishop don't have the ability to make the decisions about their curriculum and their budget to allow classroom teachers, parents, and students to work together and parallel the success of some charter schools. You know, I have read that there are a lot of lessons that can be learned from the charter schools that are doing well. However, it is very important that they provide their faculty members with the same benefits and the same employment opportunities and the same benefits that are provided to all other educators in various forms. It's my understanding that charter schools are not allowed to be for-profit, so the money needs to go into the education and needs to go into the curriculum. You know, the teachers and I don't understand why there is such a reluctance to use what can be learned from the good processes at the curriculums that are decided with regard to charter schools, and why that can't be used at schools like King and Bishop to upgrade the quality of what we're giving to our children. There are autonomy provisions in the teacher's contract that allow for them to use different curriculum. The curriculums are available to them, and they should be able to tailor the teaching experience towards those students. Thank you.
Mira?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Should I give an example of what I'm seeing?
You can keep it succinct, that'd be good.
Okay, so I worked in a charter school and I saw corruption there. As an ununionized teachers who work in charter schools, they don't have a place where they can air their concerns. Rhode Island Department of Ed does not listen. How can we work to make sure that charter schools are providing a good education for the children, and also that there's transparency in the system?
So for a charter school to be approved, the process has to go through the Rhode Island Department of Education. And I think there needs to be some sort of set protocols established within the Department of Education to make sure that the charter schools are doing what they're supposed to do, and that we're holding the administrators, the teachers, the system in itself accountable. And so you can't establish a system where students are going there to learn. We're expecting them to meet proficiency, to meet all the requirements of the state as well as our federal government, and we're not holding them accountable. So there should be a set of protocols that are established, and that something that is housed in RIDE, where charter schools can abide to, teachers can refer to, as well as administrators. So I think the system, yeah, you're absolutely, it should be fair, and there should be a way that if there's an issue with the teacher, they should be able to have a voice. They should be able to have a place where they could voice their concerns, and there should also be a system where those issues can be resolved.
All right, David?
All right, I really don't have too long of an answer. I apologize for this one. But everybody should have accountability. The state and the city should make sure that charter schools are kept up to a certain standard. Like they were saying over here, am I right, that the state has programs and things in place to make sure, but I do need a place to actually air your problems and make sure our teachers are addressing issues, but the education continues growing. But I don't really have a long answer for this one. I'm sorry, I apologize. But yeah, I'm going to let go on this one. But yeah, I apologize for this one, but yeah, thank you.
All right, Mark, next on this question.
I am, as I said before, I'm on the Providence School Board. And, well, I'm on leave from the Providence School Board, but I've been on the board. I think charters have a role to play. You know, I'm not anti-charter school. I was very much opposed to the expansion of Achievement First, and was the only member of the school board who testified multiple times in front of RIDE to oppose it, because I believe under our current funding formula here in Rhode Island, resources that go to charter schools are resources that are not going to the 25,000 odd kids who are in the regular public schools. To me, charter schools should only be Rhode Island based and nonprofit, and the latter is in fact the case here in the state. Charter schools here and nationally often are able to build some initial success as measured by test scores anyway, putting all other data aside for the moment, in part by using the youthful labor of young teachers with missionary zeal at the opening of a charter school. And as charter schools age a bit, and the personnel ages and changes, it becomes a challenge for them to repeat those kinds of successes, and often as young teachers become teachers who are parents and owning homes and trying to start families and so forth, they feel overused and exploited. And to me, frankly, the answer to that usually in most workplaces historically is to unionize. But, you know, certainly there should be some sorts of provisions that can be built in by RIDE that would enable people who work at charter schools to go around the boards that govern them if they have things they'd like to dissent or grieve about. I don't know what that process would look like. I assume there must be models in other places. But in the end, to me, I will stop.
All right. Thank you, Mark. All right.